Hi everyone, good morning. Gina from Western Way of Life here. I'm in South Central Oklahoma, Grow Zone 7B. Just a little update on the garden. It's a little bit breezy this morning, so I'm not sure if this video will be published or not, if the sound quality is poor. Just a quick update on my abandoned garden that I've cleaned up since January. Laid a lot of straw, put some trellises up, a lot of container growing in here. I don't have any raised beds in this area. I'm doing a lot of no dig, so they are raised, but raised with soil and compost. I do have a couple in-ground beds in here, and I'll take you for a quick tour and show you what has happened since I've put stuff in the ground. I have harvested many things already, lots of lettuces and so forth. So I'll start over here. I've got some tomato, got a peach tree I put in, but potted some more tomato plants here. These are the San Marzano tomato. These are a determinate, so they will produce and stay smaller. Put them up against the fence there so I can tie them if I need to. But I am very excited about having those tomatoes. I did some research on them, and they're supposed to be a very highly sought after tomato in Italy, I believe. So very excited about the flavor. I guess the flavors is really good. Here are my tomato plants on my trellis that I put in. I do have landscape fabric down everywhere. So what I did is I had to cut out my in-ground beds, and then I built up the tomato mound and laid lots of straw down to try to hold in some of the moisture here. The winds are usually pretty high here in southern Oklahoma, keeps things dried out and so forth. But I have basil, rosemary, marigolds, thyme, lots of herbs down here planted, and I've already harvested my basil, and I have some that I'm dehydrating right now so it doesn't go to seed. I want it to continue to grow all summer. But I have come through here and really started to clean up the bottoms of my tomatoes. Many of the tomatoes I seeded myself, and then many of them that I bought along the way. I have some heirlooms. I have just a variety of mini tomatoes because I didn't know which. I've never grown tomato, so I didn't know which one to even start with. But anyway, we'll see how they go. I did figure out what determinate and indeterminate tomatoes were, at least. So I've got lots of room for them up there, and I hope I don't have them too close together is what I'm concerned with. But I'm getting a lot of fruit everywhere on the tomato plants, which is exciting, of course, when you've never grown something like that, and then you start to get fruit on them. So lots of tomatoes growing. I was just as I'm filming, I'm seeing lots of beauties on here, so very exciting about that. This one has never looked good, and it still does not look good, and it's probably the soil in that pot. I had pulled it out because I just had too many down here, and that pot was sitting there, and I stuck it in there, and actually the basil does not even look good. So I'm sure it's the soil in that pot, more than likely. Here's the center and the crates, and in my back videos I talk a lot about the crates that I have. I've saved those along the years of growing flowers, and I got flower bulbs in those crates for years, and I just saved them. But my first video that I put out with this mess, it was a mess out here, and I had to realign all the crates. I laid down more landscape fabric underneath of them so I would not have to fight the weeds, because this area was abandoned for so many years. The weed seeds are abundant. I've got a super sweet 100 here, beefsteak tomato, nasturtiums, These are the ever-bearing strawberries that are ever-bearing. They're absolutely, I just harvested last night before I went in, and there are many to be harvested again this morning. Lots of bell pepper plants, jalapeno, cilantro for salsa. More tomato plants that I put in here because of the trellis here. This is a 10-foot old frame, and then of course another 3-foot above there if needed. So a very high pitched frame, but just look at how beautiful all the vegetables have really turned out. The cabbage, the Chinese cabbage, nasturtiums are just kind of tucked in places. I've got a good-hearted tomato down in here that I stuck in after I pulled out some of the other vegetables. The calendula is doing great. I deadhead the spent blooms and I dry them. I've got some carrots, and I'm actually have been putting carrots in place of any of the vegetables that I pull out along the way. And just everything's growing, doing great. Another tomato plant there because of the trellises there. And over here, the cucumbers actually have flowered, and I did see a cucumber right there. My first cucumber, and it will be a burpless beauty. Very exciting. That's a first. I've never grown cucumbers before. I have 3 little plants there, and my trellis is up, and my above ground containers here. Mostly bell peppers, jalapenos, and cilantro. I do have some beneficial flowers that I put in here. That nasturtium, I had no idea nasturtiums would get that big and grow, but just an absolutely beautiful show here. This here is a bell pepper plant, and it's got flowers everywhere. This is another good-hearted tomato plant that I've shown in another video, and they're covered in these little tiny tomatoes. And they're not very big. You can see how small the plant is compared to my hand. It's just tiny, but it's covered in fruit. And that one down there is just starting to get a little color. So they're just starting to turn now. So that's exciting. Lots of basil. I have, excuse me, I have done a harvest already of basil. I dry it out. I'm drying it. The next harvest I do, I want to be prepared for it because I would like to make some fresh pesto. I have harvested the dill, and I am drying it. The celery is really looking quite pretty. Sunflowers, cosmos, zinnias. I came over here because I wanted to see. This is the basil here. This is the purple. I wanted to see if I have this marked. Jalapeno. Okay. Wow, that's really a nice plant. 2 of them actually. This one here I bet is a no, this one here is a Carmen red sweet pepper. So that one I bought, and it looks really nice. This one here, let's see what this one is. Pepper jalapeno. Okay. So some I bought because I, would like a little bit of variety. Most of them in here are ones that I seeded. These here, I seeded these. Some more cilantro coming up there. So, okay. Back fence. In-ground bed. Well, this was an in-ground bed I put in too. I cut the fabric out. Another peach tree here. In-ground bed looks great. Sunflowers have just really popped. I can't wait for I've got some heads fixing to burst on this. So Poor little spider. Scared me. Little turd. More peppers, marigolds. I've got more sunflowers planting in here, but I don't see them germinating again. A couple more cantaloupe and so forth. But here's another view of it. Another trellis of the tomatoes. I cleaned the bottom and I just noticed this. Wow. Nice little grouping there. I wonder which one this is. There's the marker right there. This is the tomato sugary, which I'm not sure what that means, but it looks like aroma tomato of some sort. So that's exciting. Stick that back in there. And but the tomatoes are really producing well. This is a lemon boy, and it's got a nice little tomato on it. And more flowering, lots of flowers happening here. So I've got an heirloom in there, and I've got this one here. I believe it's more of the mushroom type of tomato. I'm excited to see that one with all the ripples in it. And this is the third and last tomato trellis that I have, and I really cleaned up the bottoms in here. Yesterday it was just getting really heavy, and you can see how moist everything is in here, and I just don't want a start of the disease, any diseases coming up. So I really got a little heavy-handed in it and cleaned things up. But there's so much fruit, it's really hard to see them because they're the same color as the and look at that little group there. Isn't that a beauty? And that was one that I seeded, and it is a black black tomato vine. So I've got two of those here next to each other, and I believe they're bigger than a cherry tomato. And these two have been my most vigorous growing tomato plants. This is one plant right here, and it has tomatoes abundantly all over it, groups on both sides. So that'll be fun. I can't wait to eat them, actually. I've been needing some tomato fix. But the garden looks great. It really came on pretty. I've got wild sunflowers coming up, wild sunflowers coming up in places. And I allow those to stay for pollination. My echinacea is really growing. I think they would have grown a little bit more vigorous, but we just have not had the sunshine. My sage that has been out here, blue denim sage by Proven Winners. My berries, blueberries, blackberries, we've pretty much gotten off of those what we could. I can't believe we even got a little bit of harvest off of any of them. But we did, and so grateful for that. My onions are about ready to be harvested here. And my other in-ground bed, let's go take a look. Here's a great view of this little in-ground bed coming off of the main garden, straight on down from that other in-ground bed where the sunflowers were along the fence. I tried to keep it as straight as I could to run drip tape down to it, but I decided to keep all my squash and melons away from the main garden area in case I started getting squash bugs and aphids and stuff like that. So I tried to keep them apart. I did put some jalapeno plants and some basil, some beneficial medicinal plants in here, herbs, to try to keep some of the insects out. Although that jalapeno plant does not look really good, this one right here looks really pretty and green and gorgeous. The squash plants are doing beautifully. I do have some fruit on some. This is the little English squash, and I've got 2 or 3 in here. I sure do. I see them now. I've got some corn here. I've never grown corn, so I know I've planted it way too close, so I'll have cross-pollination. But I've got a lot of seeds. I bought it in bulk. I had no idea how to grow it or how it would grow. So I guess it needs a lot of separation so it doesn't cross-pollinate, and that's not going to happen here. So I will have to sow my seeds, bought seeds each year, because this corn will be cross-pollinated. But you never know. Be interesting to see. I got peaches and cream. I got ultra sweet, and then I got the little 4-inch corn. So I've got some sunflowers coming up here. But this is the tondo squash, and it's the round squash. And I've got a couple of them on here, I believe, that are growing. Oh, a few of them actually. Cool. Watermelon, some more corn. Oh, I almost pulled that. That was a watermelon. This is a black diamond that I just saved a seed. I saved some seeds, not knowing if it would even germinate, and it did germinate. So I'm going to be really anxious to see what that does. More sunflower seeds coming up. They did germinate. So this area is really thriving. I've got cantaloupe and corn, so it's really thriving, doing well. And the wind has really picked up, y'all, so I'm going to cut this short here. But this was the other part of the garden that I just didn't get a whole lot done in here yet. So, but next year I'll finish this other area. But everything looks great. So until next time, I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short because of the wind. You guys have a great day. Stay safe. And we'll talk to you soon.